yet another video. Now, today we are going to talk about water surely. We have talked about nutrition and we've talked about exercise. Now today we are going to talk about water. Now, what is water? I am sure most of us know about water, and I don't even know where to start from to talk about water because we have had it over and over again. Everyone is talking about water. Water does this, water does that, and true, water does a lot of things. Water is actually medicine. There are some diseases that we can prevent with just using water. So water is very important, and I am sure most of us know some of the advantages of water and some of the advantages of taking water and how to take it. So today we're just going to have a simple presentation about it, and we talk a little about water. Now we all know that water is very important if it's taken really purely. I'm trying to say we get water from maybe the foods that we eat. That's true. But yet, the most important water that makes us live is the water that we really take as water in itself without taking it through food or through any other thing. So the water that we take it plays a very important role because a continuous supply of water is needed for all the living things. Not only us, but even the animals, they also need water. So it's important that we need we need this water. Now, man can, live up to 6 weeks without food, but a very, very, very few days without water. Why? Because the biggest percentage of our body is made up of water, and that is 70% of it. 50 liters being of that of an average man, and then 40 liters for a woman. So, we really need this water. Like, there is no way you can live without water. Having known that 70% of the total body weight is made up of water, it really means that you can't surely live the 30%, without that water. So you really need to take that water. Now, the water that is preferred to be taken is the slightly warm water. Slightly warm. What am I trying to say? Avoid too much cold water. Most of the times, we like taking very, very cold water, especially from the fridge. And sometimes, if for example, maybe the other drinks, if we are to get a drink, then we want to add ice cubes in them so that it becomes cold. So it becomes, the enzymes that we have, they work at a body temperature. So when you take in too cold things or too hot things, the body has to bring them to a temperature where the enzymes can work best. Otherwise, we can lose everything. So it's important to note that the water that is surely advised to take is the water that is slightly warm or a little bit of cool water. So you don't have to take too much cold water because it shuts down the digestion, especially if taken at meal time, and it diminishes the body's thirst signals. You realize that most people who take a lot of cold water, they don't usually feel thirsty, because when you take that too cold water, it disorganizes the whole system, surely. So you really want to, or you can try it out when you're taking a little bit of warm water. You feel like you should keep taking, which is actually very important. And now, like we talked about, we said that in the previous videos that water is very nice if taken 30 minutes before a meal and 1 to 2 hours after a meal. Very, very blood to transport the nutrients and even some, oxygen and every other things. And I know we all know those things. Now, apart from only that, apart from transporting the nutrients, the blood also transports the white blood cells, and these white blood cells are the ones that help us to fight against disease. Like we talked about exercise, that it helps us to boost our immune system. Now, likewise, water, it also helps us to, increase blood. Another advantage of water that we can also talk about is that it's necessary for the production of saliva and some digestive juices. Now, saliva plays a big role as far as digestion is concerned because some enzymes are in the saliva, especially the ones that take part in the digestion of carbohydrates, and we talked about that in the previous videos. But yet, it also helps in chewing and in the rolling of those, the food that we are chewing. It plays an important role in that. So you need that saliva surely. And you need water to make that saliva, because if the water is not enough, if you're dehydrated, it means your saliva will be less, and that means you're disorganizing your digestive system. It's also, apart from the saliva, we have the important juices, the digestive juices. Now, like we are calling them the digestive juices, of course, we are now talking about the juices that take part in digestion. So it's important to also note that water plays a big role in digestion still. Now, water also relieves both physical and mental fatigue. Usually when someone gets headache, they are usually advised to take water. Why? Because the brain is approximately 85% of water. So it's not surprising that drinking 1 glass of water every 10 minutes for 1 hour relieves those many headaches. So when someone gets a headache, usually the first thing that comes into people's minds is, have you taken enough water? Have you been taking water? So, it actually means that people know that lack of water also causes some of those things. Now, if all the water that the body needs, it's actually surprising if we understood that if all the water that the body needs during the day had to be taken by mouth, one would drink 40 glasses of water. That's how serious it is. You would need 40,000 glasses of water if the only way to get the water is through drinking by mouth. But fortunately, we have a wonderful body that preserves some of the water that we take, and puts to waste the water that is, if it becomes too much. So now that brings us to 10 glasses per day minimally. Yeah, but if there wasn't such processes, then we would need a lot of taking of water. And some of the water, of course, is eliminated by the body, for example, through the kidneys. Now, the kidneys, when, for example, the water is too much, the kidneys excrete 5.5 glasses through the urine, then the lungs 2 glasses through the breath, and the skin 2 glasses through the aspiration, and then the GIT like a half glass through the stool. Unless, of course, you have diarrhea or something, but sorry, it's like a half glass through the stool. So, if it becomes excess, you still do not have to worry, though too much of anything there is bad, but we shall see how much water we need per day. Now, the body receives a supply of water from the intake of food, that one we saw, and it's around 3 glasses, and then from the metabolic processes around 1.5 glasses. So one must drink 5.5 glasses of water to replace the body's average daily water losses. Of course, now, like we've seen, there are processes that take away the water, so you still have to replace the water that has been taken. Now, there are some of the diseases or some of the conditions that will increase the body's water losses, and I'm sure most of us will know some of them. Now, one of them is high fever or hard work. Like we talked about during the video of exercise, that you don't have to exercise too much. So when you have high fever, when you do a lot of physical work, and maybe any other body that brings out sweat, that is one of the ways that you decrease the water. Another one is the illness, such as the common cold. It also brings the water loss. Then there is also vomiting and diarrhea, that one we know. And then the nursing mothers, of course, they are breastfeeding, and so they are losing that milk, and of course now that has water in it, so you are also dehydrating. So you need to rehydrate yourself after you have lost that water. Now, it's quite surprising that one human organism requires a third more water than the body's signal indicates. What am I trying to say? That when you get thirsty and you take water, it doesn't mean that that's only when you need water. You actually require a third more water than what you have taken. It requires a third more water of what the thirst tells you that you actually need. So it would be nice if you actually planned to take water regardless of if you're thirsty or if you're not thirsty. Now, the best way to take water, we know that we need 2 liters in a day, minimum, of water. And the best way that you can do this is to time yourself. For example, you can say you will take 2 glasses of water when you rise up in the morning, then 2 glasses at mid-morning, then 2 glasses at mid-afternoon, and 2 other glasses before you sleep. But yet, you can also time a 2-hourly routine of taking water. There are these bottles that have measures in the sides, and then they will tell you have reached this time, then you need to take water this time, like that. There are some other apps that help us to take water. There is always an alarm when the time for taking water comes in, so you can really use those things so that you make sure that you are really rehydrated. So water is not only important when taken, but it's also important when you use it, for example, to clean your body, and that would be maybe a topic for another day. But water is a very important thing that God has given to us to use effectively. So how I pray that you really take enough water as needed, and you will have more benefits than you've ever had before. It's one of the medicines as we unpack this free gift that God has given to us with no cost.
with no dime, with no money, with no dollar, with no shilling, with nothing. Greetings, friend. My name is Nahabwe Charity Talent, and I have 2 questions for you. One of which is, do you know that there are some of the things that you do that shorten your life? And do you know that there are some of the things that you do that prolong your life? Well, I have good news for you in case you didn't know. This series that we are going to start are going to fill us with the things that we are supposed to do so that we can have a very good life, a very healthful living, some of which have a lot to do with nutrition, others have a lot to do with our lifestyle, what we do, what we do not do, what we're supposed to do, what we are required of. Well, it's not only about that. We are going to learn a lot of things like a formula called New Start, nutrition, exercise, water, temperance, air, and all those things that you're going to be looking at. You can join us by subscribing, and you can still click that notification button so that when the video is premiered, you will be the first one to get to know of it. May God bless you. I hope that you will be blessed in this series that you're going to have, like I have benefited since I got to know about them.